Welcome back to Lenz, Comic Corner Classics, Last Known Classics. This is episode number 1260 and Doubleshot number 1154. I'm discussing the last two trades that collect Robert Venditti's run for Green Lantern. You might be thinking, wait, this is the end? Yes, because I have reviewed what he did after this, How during Lantern. I have all the books behind me. I didn't bring it over, so I just basically want to focus on basically final thoughts on this run. And, of course, what he's done for the book. Yeah, he was in the book from about 2013 to about 2018. Yeah, he was basically writing Green Lantern for 6 years. 6 years. He left a couple years ago. Alright, now basically discussing the first of the two remaining trades left. This first one is Green Lantern Volume 7, Renegade. Yeah, this is the start of the storyline that started with... It takes up the last year of Green Lantern Volume 5 before it's relaunched as Hal during the Lantern Corps, because it's kind of in a way a merger. It's a continuation of about 3 different titles. This title, Green Lantern Corps, and Sinestro for the start of it. Yeah, basically 3 titles that continue in one title, while in the case of Sam Bond and Jessica Cruz, they get their own separate book. I'll discuss more about that in a bit. Now, the Renegade storyline. Hal Jordan has basically become a rogue. He does this because he was suggested to him by the Templar Guardians in order to restore the reputation of the Green Lanterns. Though they also point out, though, in this storyline, the Green Lantern Corps has disappeared, with the exception of 2 people, Hal and Sinestro's daughter, Setel, I think her name is. Yeah, they're the only 2 who actually stay. Well, there's a reason for that. It's explained Green Lantern Corps Lost Army. Apparently it's related to the Lightsmith stuff. By the way, the book itself, Lost Army, is written by Colin Bunn. And the follow-up to that one, which is Oblivion, that's done by Tom Taylor. This book basically contains issues 41 to 46 and Green Lantern Sneak Peek and the 4th annual. The 4th annual was actually the last annual published for the series. And you would think it's quite strange, though. Hal during the Lantern Corps, in the 60 issues the book had, no annual. This book has got several different artists. Billy Tan, who's been an artist for pretty much most of this run, Ethan Skyver, Sky Hanna, Mark Urban, Martin Calisi, and Pascal Axel. The cover art is done by Billy Tan and Alex Sinclair. Now, during the course of this storyline, we have various stuff happen, like, well, at one point he actually Hal runs into Relic, who was researching the Source Wall. And you're probably thinking, wait, I thought he was trapped in the Source Wall. He got freed by Black Hand. Yeah, this actually is brought up here. So, he's basically a rogue, and he basically just, well, beating up people and just interrogating other people. And he's just doing his own thing. Apparently he's got his own spaceship, so he also has got long hair now, because he's a renegade. He's not with the Green Lantern Corps much anymore. Though, this is his new attire. Yeah, basically, his outfit is to put like a jumpsuit, where still wearing his old Green Lantern mask, with like a trench coat, and of course the gauntlet. He wears his thing throughout the entire run, and there's something about this gauntlet that does alter his biology for some strange reason. Yeah, something Venditti does. So, beats people randomly, participates in bar fights, takes people along with him to be his crew, and then apparently he sees the fact Green Lantern Corps disappeared. So, he basically tries to investigate what the heck happened to him. The plot thread exactly of him finding out doesn't really go anywhere, but he does come across a planet where people turn to stone. Now you're probably thinking, what the heck caused this? Why? Of all people, the one person no one ever suspected to see again, especially at the Godhead, Black Hand! Yes! Black Hand apparently has got the powers of the Source Wall. Yeah, it's not thoroughly explained. Like apparently he got trapped in the Source Wall, and somehow he got out, and apparently he's got this sort of this Midas touch that turns people to stone so he can't play with the dead. And then Hal runs into, in the next issue, he runs into frickin' Relic. Yes, he runs into Relic. Because we got a follow-up to 2 crossovers, Lights Out and Godhead. Don't mention the Durlands because that was an awesome storyline, but probably just a storyline people probably want to talk about. Godhead is a damn good story, despite the fact that storyline did get some criticism of how Hightower was written. Yep, and I love how the artist draws Relic. He's like tall. Oh yeah, and he apparently does not remember Hal Jordan. Nope. He remembers he was in the Source Wall, but he does not know how he got out with Black Hand. So basically, they volunteered team up to take down Black Hand to fix a fissure in the Source Wall. Yep. So they agreed to that. And then, of course, Black Hand is captured, and then he's put back in the Source Wall, and then the Source is fixed. Yep, but meanwhile, there's actually a side story where Hal goes, this is basically a flashback, where he runs into the Pretty Lobo. Yes. Why in the world Venditti thought it was a good idea to promote Lobo comic, I have no idea. He's just here for a brief cameo. Though this is basically like a flashback of basically what he was up to when he was on the run before the Corps disappeared. Though I'm not really a big fan of the redesign they did for Jon Stewart, where apparently he's got hair again, despite the fact he was trying to draw on a mohawk. So that's basically just a flashback. So in flashback, Hal run into the Pretty Lobo for some reason. My only guess is the reason why they threw Lobo in these issues, and this is just my personal theory, was for a sales boost. No, I think Green Lantern was doing fine at this point. I think it was just to promote the Lobo book. Yes, a book that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted a book featuring the Pretty Lobo. If they wanted a Lobo, they wanted the big, bulky guy with a hook and drives the big, badass motorcycle. People want that Lobo, not this pretty, skinny boy. Yes, people hated this character. And the thing is, his last appearance was actually in Hal Jordan and Green Lantern Gore, where he was trapped in a bottle. And look how Jon Stewart was like, I think it was Jon Stewart was like, no, don't bother with that one. Probably because Venditti probably felt as though, yeah, nobody cares for this guy. So, maybe back to the actual Lobo. Yep. Of course, while Hal's doing various other things, like talking to constructs, he also apparently his mental stability for not seeing the Green Lantern for a while. So apparently he's becoming mentally unstable by making constructs of his, missing friends. Yep. Yeah, then, of course, by the way, Black Hand never forgets Hal Jordan. So when he runs him, he tells him who he is, like, you, I'm not crazy, and then he fights him. An awesome sequence, and then he captures him, and then puts back in the Source Wall to fix it. Yep. Puts back in the Source Wall, fixed, and Source Wall is fixed. Like, you fixed the fissure. Good. And he's like, Little Blythesmith? And that's last see a Relic in this series. Yep. And then we cut to Earth, where we see the first post-Flashpoint appearance of old Green Lantern villain, Sonar. Yep, Sonar's here. And he's going to Coast City. Yep, that's what he's doing. I gotta say, damn good story. Good sci-fi epic. And I'd say the only downgrade for the story is seeing the Pretty Boy Lobo. Yeah, that's the only thing I would definitely agree. I think a lot of people agree. Nobody cares about Pretty Boy Lobo. Nope, nobody cares. Yeah, he claims he's the real Lobo, even though readers say, no, you are basically an editorial mandate because people don't want because some people at DC don't want the actual Lobo. They want to create a new Lobo. People would love. Nobody cares for this guy. Not at all. Alright, now for the final volume of not only Volume 5, but also the final trade to talk about for Robert Venditti's run, Green Lantern Volume 8, Reflections. Yes, Billy Tanner's still on the artwork. Oh, in these issues, he meets Parallax. Yes, this guy from the 90s. Yeah, the reason why he's here. Why is he in these issues? Because he came out of Convergence. And somebody thought of a good idea for him to fight Hal Jordan. Well, the post-crisis for the one who was not freaking crazy. The arc not only done by Billy Tan with Rafa Salvador, Mark Calico, and Vanette Castle. And of course, Billy Tan does the cover art with Mark Owen and Alex Sinclair. This book pretty much contains the last 6 issues of Green Lantern Volume 5, issues 40 to 52, and a sneak peek of Green Lantern Corps, Hal Jordan Corps Rebirth. So yeah, this story is the end. So Hal goes home. And then we see what looks like to be 2 members of the Sinestro Corps. And apparently Parallax has no idea the fact that there was a Sinestro Corps. So I was like, okay, go home. And you're probably thinking, wait, where's the Lantern Corps? They're gone. They are nowhere to be seen. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, then he goes to visit his brother home. Like, hands in the air. Whoa, false alarm officers. I know this is my brother's place. I didn't know he put an alarm, that's all. Let's see him. Freak out, freak. How? What did you hear? And the officer's like, did we find false alarm, Mr. Jordan? I understand, officer. I apologize. Family, you know how it is. And of course, he hugs him, and he's like, okay, you want to hang out with the kids? Have a haircut. Yep. Apparently, Jim Jordan, Hal Jordan's younger brother, apparently he's become a barber in his spare time. He raised his family 4, saves a lot of money. Okay, quite interesting. And they take him to, like, what looks like to be the Coast Island version of Coney Island, of all places. And his nephews are very happy to see him. They don't say much about his outfit per se, but at least they'll see him in long hair and the facial hair. Yep. So then, of course, they're attacked by something. Of course, Hal uses his gauntlet power to save his nephews. Though apparently Howard, one of his nephews, is injured. And then we see the 2 Sinestro Corps members are killed by Parallax. Yep, Parallax. You're probably curious, though, those of you basically who have never heard of this guy. He's Hal Jordan from the 90s. You're probably thinking, how the heck did this even happen to him? Well, you gotta thank the Superman crossover for this. You gotta thank the storyline Reign of the Superman, where Cyborg Superman decided to do the unthinkable. He and Mongol demolished Coast City in order to create a new war world. With Cyborg Superman as his ruler. Yes, Cyborg Superman, a Superman villain, goes after Green Hal Jordan's hometown. So, not long after that, he decides to go nuts in order to restore his city. So, he proceeds to murder almost the entire Green Lantern Corps and almost all the Guardians while going nuts. And it becomes this. Though it's later revealed in a retcon by Jeff Johns, that this is a good retcon, that Hal Jordan was being possessed the whole time. Yeah, this is a way of basically Jeff Johns just undoing all the stuff that Parallax did in the 90s. Like all the evil things basically right off his possession. When he was actually possessed by the Parallax emotional entity. Yes, the same thing that powers the Sinestro Corps. Yep. So that was the reason why. Oh yeah, and then the very next issue, Hal Jordan does the unthinkable. He goes to Gotham City and runs into Chappie Batman. Yes, Chappie Batman. One of his few non-Batman books he appeared in. Yes. Besides appearing in Batman and Detective Comics as a regular, he also appeared in Batman Superman for a few issues. Aside from these 4 books, he also appeared in this book, Batgirl, Catwoman. Yes, he appeared in Catwoman, Red Hood and Arsenal, and this book. Yeah, this is like the only non-Bat book I can think of he actually physically appeared in. And then Hal meets him and is like, where's Batman? And he's like, I'm Batman. He's like, what's with the bunny suit? I love the fact that they wrote that line in there. It is so hilarious. Yep. So basically, he shines a light on top of Wayne Tower, expecting, well, his Batman, but nope, it's Chappie Batman. Yes. If you're curious, though, where the heck did the Chappie Batman meme came from? Because he looks like frickin' Chappie from the movie Chappie. Yes, it's a talking robot. That the movie set in South Africa of all places because Neil Blomkamp is from South Africa, and that's where this whole bunny suit idea comes from. Yeah, it's like he's like, when in Gotham looking for Batman, he's like, who are we supposed to be? I'm a sanctioned replacement. He's on vacation, so what's with the bunny suit? You look at him, merge yourself. Oh, listen, this is my listening face. Yeah, this is Jim Gordon under the suit. Yes, Jim Gordon, the commissioner of the GCPD, though not at this point. The current commissioner is Maggie Sawyer at this point in time. Yes, Maggie Sawyer was at one point the commissioner of the Gotham City Police Department before she stepped down and moved back to Metropolis. Probably because Dan Jurgens wanted to write her again. So he uses his radar to look for sonar. Yep. And, well, that's the cheap appearance by Batman. The Chat Batman. Now, I do have a theory of why in the world they rushed his ending. And I've said this before when I discussed the final trade that collected the Batman issues of Jim Gordon when he was the Chat Batman. My theory, the reason why they kind of rushed the ending of this particular run of Jim Gordon as Batman is because DC were scared the book wasn't selling too well as they thought they were. I mean, they were not going to cancel the book. They had to rush Scott Snyder to conclusion of this era, and they never resolved the whole thing, Mr. Bloom. Yeah, so basically Hal goes after basically Sonar, while then, of course, in issue 50, he takes on frickin' Parallax. He does fight Sonar. Yes, this is quite interesting, though. It took Hal Jordan, a long time. He basically also visited the UN to deal with... Actually, it's not him. It's actually Parallax. Oh, yeah, it is him. Basically, people to stop to deal with Sonar. So he does fight Sonar, and of course, then we have in issue 50 where the two Green Lanterns meet. Yes. Hal Jordan meets Hal Jordan. And then we have a flashback to, the aftermath of Reign of Superman, where Hal Jordan's in the wreckage of Coast City. Yes, this is actually from the 90s. This is done in a modern draw. I love the fact that the artist, I think it's Billy, who does this issue? This is Billy Tannen Bentel Goff, I think I pronounce it. With, of course, this cover art is done by Bill Sienkiewicz. Awesome artist he is. Now, I love the fact that Billy Tannen actually took the time to redraw, this emotional page. These emotional, if you open a few pages, of Hal Jordan seeing the wreckage of Coast City the way it is. Yes, he did have this reaction. And then we have Parallax Hal Jordan come oh, alive. You might be thinking, though, why the heck does he have gray in his hair? Yes, because Hal Jordan doesn't have gray in his hair. He did in the 90s. Apparently, for some reason, some artists in the 90s thought this was a good idea for Hal Jordan. He wasn't the only one. They apparently did this with the Weather Wizard. Though they later had him lose the gray in his hair. Probably because he's an older guy. So let's have him come gray in his hair. So then, of course, they celebrate Howard's birthday, goes to the park. And then, of course, then they run into Parallax Hal Jordan. It's like, oh, wait. How are you alive? And then, of course, then he gets hit with a construct of a hammer. And, of course, Renegade Hal Jordan comes in. And they fight the whole issue. They fight. Parallax goes freaking nuts. Yeah, he comes razor sharp teeth. He just battles each other, battle of the city. Which is quite fun. He does some damage. And apparently Hal Jordan is trying to, will energy. And he's like, look what you become. You shouldn't exist. I'll find more power. Go city your life. It'll all be mine. He has this slimy snake tongue. And he flies off, and he's like, oh, I have the will. And, of course, Jim basically sees how it's becoming, so he flies up. This comes up plot through the next couple issues of how becoming, like, the energy for the gauntlet. That's something that's mildly followed up with in the Hal Jordan Lantern book. So, he has his support crew do it with some aliens. And, of course, Hal comes back to space, though, with the haircut. And then the final issue, I think this is 52, where... By the way, the variant cover of the 52 is the first issue. Basically, I'll get to that in a minute. So he fights some aliens, and of course, there's a picture of Kara Ferris. And, well, it wraps up. And of course, then he just decides to take the aliens to custody, and then basically starts having more will energy, and he drops off his support crew, and that's when the volume ends. Yep. By the way, the 52's variant cover is this. You're probably thinking, wait, that looks like issue 1. They did this for a lot of basically where 52's variant cover was in fact the very first issue cover. Now this book is actually pretty good. Now in case you're curious though, what the heck happened to Parallax after this? The answer is nothing. Because he has not shown up since then. It's been 4 years and I think Venditti forgot about this plot thread. Because you're probably thinking, wait, did he explore this in Hal Jordan Galacticor? Nope. In the entire 60 issues, Parallax did not make an appearance at all. I mean, it's been 4 years, and I'm like, wait, he has not made an appearance since then? There's no explained reason for this at all. Yeah. So, it's a good storyline, and an interesting way to end here, basically, for Robert Venditti's run for the book. Of course, basically, next came his Hal Jordan Galacticor book, which was really good. 60 great issues for the book, and that was collected in 7 trades. Yep. So, final thoughts first on Robert Venditti's run for Green Lantern. It had a sort of a slow start, but once you get past Lights Out, that's just my opinion, but it becomes a heck of a lot more better. And then probably the best thing that happened to this run, aside from the Renegade storyline, was Godhead. It was a damn good storyline. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, of course, you had the Renegade stuff, which was probably the best thing, a lot of people say was the best thing about Venditti's one, which I do kind of agree. Though I will also list Godhead is basically up there as a really good story. And, of course, you have the awesomeness that is the Hal Jordan Galacticor series, which, of course, was really good. Yep, Venditti's run was interesting, to say the least. Now, final thoughts on Green Lantern Volume 5. A run that started in late 2011, I think it was in September 2011, ended in April of 2016. Yep, April 2016. And right here I have the 3 trades that collect the original writer for that run, Jeff Johns. These 3 trades. Something that's quite interesting, though, about the Green Lantern book is that apparently Jeff Johns had this thing where we had to have crossovers because, yeah, crossovers before, so why not? But at least that he did something that the other writers at DC didn't do at that point. At least didn't want to do. At least he waited over a year to have a major story happen. Yeah, at least he waited over a year. Apparently, like, a lot of books just couldn't wait. They did crossovers with issue 9, which it had been a year and you were doing crossovers. At least he waited issue 13. At least his last 2 major things he did after he did the opening 12 issues was that he did Rise Third Arm, which was a really good storyline, which later led into Wrath the First Lantern. And at least Venditti actually waited a brief period of time before doing another crossover, which was Lights Out, and then he actually once again took a brief period of time. Like his spells in crossovers were like very brief. Like between Lights Out and the Earthland War, it was only just 6 issues. Yeah, 6 issues between. But between the Durland War and Godhead, it was like 1 issue. And that was it. Yeah, it was like 1 brief issue, like, oh, we're in Godhead now. Yep. But Godhead, of course, was a good story. And then you had this Renegade stuff, which was really interesting to end this book on. But lucky enough, by the start of the next book, Renegade stuff is ended, and Hal is basically back with the Green Lantern Corps. And also back in his classic attire. No longer the Jim Lee-inspired look that he had throughout this whole run. Let's find an interesting start to it, following up what happened with War of the Green Lantern, with Sinestro as the Green Lantern. Yeah, this lasted for 12 issues, with Hal Jordan as a supporting character. And then we switched to Silent Boss for 8 issues, and that's where we ended Jeff Johns' run. And then we're back to Hal Jordan, where basically he does very predictable things. All in all, when it comes to how Green Lantern Volume 5, it's a great volume to read. Though there's a few weak issues in the whole run. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was damn good. Really good. Interesting though, they kept Jeff Johns in the book. As a matter of fact, I think he's one of 2 writers who actually kept their books when the relaunch happened. The other, of course, being J.T. Crow for Green Arrow, though he left after a couple issues. Jeff Johns stayed for 20 issues and did 1 annual. Yeah, 1. While in the case of Robert Venditti, I think he did 2. Yeah, he did officially 2 annual. Actually, he did 3 annuals for the series. Yep. But this book was really fun to read, and I'm glad of the fact that I finished it, because this is another book I can say I put behind me now. So yeah, that's it for Single Review. Stay tuned for my review for Black Clover. That'll be up soon. Okay, see you next video. Bye.